thank you for joining in, and I hope you and everyone around are safe and healthy during this current COVID-19 situation, while we all are fighting our battle with the pandemic through isolation, social distancing, and working from home and various other means. To introduce myself, I'm the Vice President, Digital and Innovation working at JK Technosoft, and I'm the host and the co-speaker of today's webinar. I have around 20 years of IT industry experience, working with various technology areas, including AI, ML, business process reengineering through microservices and various other means. I'm based out of UK at the moment, but I closely work with customers across different geos. I've also got Shankar Kamra, my colleague, with me, and we'll share our experiences in more detail, so that we can get a good value of your time spent today. Shankar, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Praveen. Greetings, everyone. Hope you and your family are safe and healthy. My name is Shankar Kamra, and I'm working as a technical lead with JKT. As a part of a digital team, I work with the businesses to implement technical solutions in areas like chatbot, IoT, mobility, machine learning, and data analytics. I do have experience in working with customers in various domains like retail, logistics, travel, and many more. Over to you, Praveen.
Thanks, Shankar. Just to give you some context, during these trying times, there are organizations who are at the front end of supporting end users through their customer support services teams and various other channels which touches the front end or end customer. As a result of this situation, there's an immense pressure on these teams, and with limited bandwidth, the customer queries have increased multifold. At the same point of time, other means of digital interactions with businesses have increased significantly. In order to reduce the impact of the peak demand, we have been working with some of our customers in the last few weeks to build and deploy chatbot solutions in just about 5 days, covering one business process. The objective is to cater to high volume repetitive demand through chatbot. During this process, we've also matured the model by creating a library of pre-built solutions and solution components across various platforms, primarily around AWS and Azure, but also with some open source chatbot platforms. Also, to contribute to society at large, we are offering our first chatbot development and deployment for one of the processes at no cost, and we'll share this experience during this webinar. Before we jump into the exact topic, some housekeeping. Between me and Shankar, we'll be taking about 30 minutes of your time covering the presentation that we have and some demos. During this session, please note down your questions, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, and you can keep typing your questions in the Q&A window on the top right-hand side of your WebEx screen. So let's start a discussion around. Moving on to this, Shankar, can you go to slide number 3, please? Yeah, thank you. So the current situation, as we all know, is that there's been a lean team working and supporting the business process and business functions, because many of the people have been working from home with limited bandwidth. Some of the people are not working at all, and still we need to support the business. There has been absenteeism as well, which is approximately 40% of the total business on an average. And considering the market report from Gartner and Zendex and various other companies, the digital interactions have also increased manyfold, because personal interaction has been decreasing very slowly and steadily because of the social distancing. Shankar, can you move on, please? Keep going. So based on this data that we have been discussing with our customers that how do we make sure that we manage this demand in this time where we have got lean support team available. At the same point of time, number of queries which are coming digitally are increasing more than 50% or 60%, or even some businesses about 90%. And in order to get to that stage where we can support the business at this juncture, we have come up with a model where we can build and develop a chatbot in about 5 days' time. Go on next screen, Shankar. So the two type of customers, I mean, based on last few implementations, I'm just sharing my experience. There are two type of customers who are using, either they're using the conversational AI platform like Chatbot already, which needs a scale, which is about covering more business processes or making it more robust. And the other type of customers are who are the beginners in this chatbot arena, where they want to immediately jump onto this journey for handling high volume and repetitive queries, which is constantly coming through various means like phone calls or through emails or some other means. So based on this classification, what we have done is that we have put this process together where human agents are still going to be there, because in this tough time there has to be a human touch to some for a certain level. Those human agents are actually handling business critical requests, which requires a human touch, while the virtual chatbots can actually take care of the high volume repetitive processes which are coming in bulk. For example, most of the customers are placing an order online, then inquiring about the order status. People who have received some products, they're inquiring about those products. People are ordering, putting some complaints about some of the services related to their house or utilities, which are there, about healthcare, and then they want to know the response quickly and more in a digital form. So this is what we are proposing to as a model that this chatbot solution can actually help with this high volume and repetitive queries. Go on, Shankar. So when it comes to, just to give an overview, when it comes to developing a conversational AI platform, which is Chatbot, there are primarily 4 major components which comprises of this solution. The first one is the AI NLP part, where you read the intents and utterances, so and create a library of that. So rather than having all the questions and answers in your database, you just try to make sure that you have a plethora, a very robust library built about intents, utterances, entity, and slots. So, for example, order status, product configuration. There's so many of these that we can create as library, and we built some decent reusable library of these intents, utterances, entities, and slots or dialogues. The second part is the middleware business logic, which actually connects. This is where that actual custom code development is required, which connects the chatbot to your CRM or ERP applications. And then there's a hook which needs to be placed in between in terms of a service where the actual integration takes place, followed by the fourth one, which is the front end of the channel through which the customer interacts. It can be web chat, it can be IVR, where we use speech to text and text to speech. And then the social media platforms like Facebook Messenger, Twitter, and other social media platforms. So the platform or the component library that we have built, which enables us to deploy a solution in about 5 days, is based on the fact that we have got the first one at a middle extent covered. The third one, we have got already the connections and connectors available, and the channels on the web, we already have reusable components available there. The only piece which remains to be custom developed is based on the business process. We need to tweak the business logic for the middleware part, and then we are good to go. Some of the tools that we have been working with of late is Dialogflow, Microsoft Bot platform using Luis, and Amazon Lex. Salesforce and Rasa are other two, but primarily around Microsoft Bot platform and Amazon Lex. Go to the next screen, Shankar. And then how do we break this 5 days, as we say? So again, this we have built and make it robust over last couple of months. Is we divide these 5 days into 120 hours, and based on our teams who are spread across the geographies, we use the follow the sun, where we make these 5 days at 120 hours. And based on the reusable components that we have got, which is about 80% of reusable components using one of the platforms like either Microsoft Bot platform or Amazon Lex. We deliver this by working almost 24/7. And then when it comes to breaking down this 5 days, how do we break these 5 days into actual low-level schedule so that we can deliver the solution on time? So there's certain prerequisites that we expect from the business side, which is the objective of the chatbot and one intended process to be identified, which we're going to take care of, which can be the order status, which can be customer complaints in this customer services area or customer support area for one process, and so forth. And then, of course, once we have that one process established, then expanding that to other processes becomes much easier. We also expect that there'll be help available, or the API is already available to integrate with the backend CRM, ERP, or any database that we have. Otherwise, this takes a little bit time depending on what system we're using. And then we also need to decide on the UI channel or the front-end channel of customer interaction, that which one we are going to go ahead with. Is it web, it's social, or IVR, or are there any other channels? And then once we have that identified, then day 1 and 2, we primarily try to do the design phase, where we identify the integration touch points, identify which NLP platform is best suited based on the business process, and then the channels that we need to apply. The day 2 to day 4 is primarily building and developing and training the bot, where we have the we take as much historical data as possible. It can be in the form of the logs of the customer support and services team coming out from the CRM database, or any other Excel sheet where we can get some details about the intents or utterances, like order status, etc. And then what we also do is that based on that, we keep training the bot on a very regular basis, and then integration with the ERP and CRM system at the end. Followed by day 4, we do our internal testing with users. We do it on day 4 and day 5, and then we again retrain or improve the vocabulary or the library accordingly. And then it's ready to deploy. And considering our experience, we kind of achieve about 95% accuracy if we have just enough data available from the business teams when it comes to building the library of intents, utterances, entities, slots, etc. So now onwards, I'll just ask or request Shankar to walk us through some of the demos that we have built in recent past. Of course, you will see some names of the customers not mentioned here because of confidentiality reasons. So we've made it generic, but we'll see how it works, and then also talking about how do we build this actually using Amazon Lex as a platform. The same thing that we've done for Azure, but for the purpose of this demo, we have chosen Amazon Lex as a platform. Shankar, over to you.
Thanks, Praveen. Okay, so we are saying that we can build a chatbot under 5 working days, and we have done it for some of the customers. And I'm going to show you the technical architecture of a chatbot, followed by the demo videos of 2 use cases that we have prepared for this webinar. And then there is a code walkthrough session. So let's start with the technical architecture. Okay, so it consists of 4 layers, as you can see on the screen, like UI and channel layer, middleware, AI layer, and the integration layer. So starting with the UI layer, we can see like it could be anything like websites, could be a social network channels like Skype, WhatsApp, Facebook, or could be Slack or Teams. Then there is a middleware where the actual logic resides inside this layer, which integrates with the different CRM and the ERP applications, which can be integrated from there. Then there is the AI layer. We are using Amazon Lex as a chatbot platform for this particular webinar, but all the chatbot platforms available over the market are the same, that they provide the intent, entities, utterances to train these intents. So it consists of intent and entities where we create a custom model. Then there could be a cards and customization. Based on that, we can provide a better user experience by sending these information over a card layout or in form of buttons. Then we have an integration layer. We integrate this these backend applications using Lambda functions, and then we have a then we log these kinds of all these missed utterances and missed intents using Amazon CloudWatch. Moving ahead, we have prepared a demo for you. You are going to see a demo where bot is providing you the options where user can register a complaint or track a complaint. So passing the initial information, the bot will come up with, again, this is a custom UI that we have built in and we use it for our clients. And this is the best way to provide user options, provide options to the user, where the user can simply click on the button and navigate the flow. The bot is asking about, like, please provide the description about your complaint, and based on that, it's going to ask certain more slot or entity values, like can you provide the postal code and the house number where you're living in. And after that, this information is passed to the bot, and using the APIs in backend there, we call this API, which validates, like, is this a right house number or not. And after the confirmation, we ask, like, please provide the exact area where the problem is. Again, it's better to have this kind of UI. And we have this kind of data where we have this kind of knowledge base there, where we provide this some kind of solutions in form of PDFs and documents and videos, where user can go through these kinds of information and resolve this issue by himself. And if it doesn't resolve, then we ask, like, user to please if it resolves the issue, like, user can provide us, like, the form of feedback, like yes or no, and based on that, the chatbot follows the conversation flow. So again, if it doesn't resolve the issue, we ask, like, if you have any time preference where user can, where a support engineer can visit you. And we have changed these messaging during this COVID-19 situation, because as we know, like, there could be a certain delay. We can't assure that customer support engineer would be available around the preferred slot time that user has selected. So moving ahead, when user has, again, like, registered a complaint, and that user can always track this complaint number, which bot has provided you. So moving ahead to the next use case for this same scenario. After filling the initial information, user can go through the navigation buttons and select the track complaint, where that complaint that he had already registered. And by providing the complaint number, user can go through the backend database, which is a service now, where we have created a ticket using the backend APIs. It provides back, again, it validates the house number, and based on that provides the information, like which support engineer is going to visit you. And if user is satisfied with the information, he can always select yes and no. And if you want to change the preferred slot time, he can do it by selecting the option yes. So these are the two use cases. Like, we have created a complaint and we have tracked that complaint. But there are certain scenarios where when user is interacting with a bot, where bot can't handle these kinds of situations or workflow, where we need a human agent. And there could be scenarios where a user specifically asks, like, I want to talk to a human agent. In that case, I'm going to show that show you a scenario where we are handling this particular chat to a human agent. So this is the scenario where a bot will hand over this conversation to a human agent, which is a soft handoff, and it's quite seamlessly. So this is for the another client that we have worked for. This is a e-commerce grocery store where user can always go for, like, for the inquiries, like, I want to know the status of my order. And after providing the order number, the bot goes to the backend APIs and provide you the information like what's the exact status of the order, it is being shipped or not, or what's the exact status. And this is the scenario like user, if you want to change, if you want any changes in that particular order, if we say yes, like you want to do that, then the bot is not capable to handle these kinds of scenarios. So we transfer it to the human agent, where human agent can take control over that and answer to the customer in a better way. So this is the one situation, but as I told you, there could be a number of situations where user explicitly said, like, I want to talk to an agent, and based on sentiment of a user, and during this particular situation, we transfer it to the human agent. So as we have seen, like these demos, like let me show you like the Amazon Lex platform that we have used for these particular use cases. So as you can see on our screen, Amazon Lex, it contains like every chatbot platform, every chatbot cloud platform consists of intents, utterances, slots, where we create intents and build on by training it with the utterances, and then we build a model and we test it and publish it. So let me show you, like we have created these kinds of intents for the use cases that I've shown you in the previous video. And we can always import an intent. We have created thousands intents, as we have always mentioned that that's why we can assure you like we can build a bot in a 5 days duration. And these are some of the inbuilt intents you can see on our screen, and these are the intents that we have built. And these are some generic intents that you can see on our screen, like goodbye, creating, a transfer agent that we can use in every other use cases. And for other use cases, we have certain intents that is built in, and that we tweak it with adding more utterances based on the products and the exact use case that user have. So as you can see, that these on our screen, we have intent to register complaint, which have an entrances like I want to register a complaint and my house number is, and by providing these kinds of user can directly say this and by providing the house number and the postal code. Then comes the two Lambda functions which Amazon provides us. One is the Lambda validation, where we validate these kinds of information, like the information that user has provided, like for example, the use case that we have talked about, and the pin code, the postal code, and the house number is valid or not, from where we call the API and validate if it's a valid postal number or not. So these kinds of validation, we do it in validation hook. And then there is a second, I'm going to show you the exact code, just a glimpse of code, like where we put these kinds of validation in here. So if you can see on screen that we handle these kinds of validation in here, like validation complaint code, where we actually call this API and validate the information that user has provided. Then comes the second Lambda function, and these are the slots and entities that we have trained for, like that the information that we need it from the customer, like house number, the complaint description, the postal code. As we already told you that we have 1,000 number of slots inbuilt, and based on the use cases, we use it by importing it from our library. And this is the second Lambda functions, which calls the ServiceNow API, which creates a ServiceNow ticket in the backend applications and provide back the complaint number to the user. So these are the two Lambda functions that we use in our use cases. And based on that, we provide the buttons in form of a better user experience. So after that, we create a build. After creating intents, utterances, slots, after creating the validation functions and the fulfillment Lambda functions, we create a model over Amazon Lex. And after completion of a build, we test it using the Amazon Lex testing tool. As you can see on my screen, it asks for the certain information and provides you the same UI that you have seen in the custom UI that we have built, and we can just test it. So after build and testing, we publish this current model to a environment, like it could be development testing, or it could be a production server. So after publishing, we have certain versions and certain analysis based on the environments. And I'm going to show you the certain settings that Amazon Lex specifically provides, that you can log the conversation history over the S3 bucket, and you can provide just checkbox the sentiment analysis value as a yes option, and then you will get the response with the sentiment score on each sentence that user has said, and based on that we transfer it to the human agent. That's again the one scenario where we transfer it to the human agent. And then there is a tab where we can directly integrate with the implicit channels which Amazon Lex provide. But again, as we have said, that we have our integrations model in place where we can integrate with the different channels apart from them. Again, it provides the monitoring tool where you can see the misutterances, and we can just add it to retrain our model. But we have our log analysis tool and utilities which continuously monitor the conversation logs, on basis of which we assess that model and we retrain it by going to the, like, these are the misutterances, these are the mismatch of intents. So this is in a nutshell that where we can just create a model, publish it, test it, and integrate it with different channels. Moving ahead, so this is about like what we can do to create a new bot in a 5 days, but also we do provide some enhancement to existing chatbot. We have some certain customers which have for which we have built a bot, or it comes under a maintenance and support, and to which we are doing enhancement and improvement to their existing chatbots. So what we can do, so in a current situation, like as we said, that there are a number of inquiries are increased, so we can increase the number of channels like IVR or the messaging channel, so that user can interact with these channels, and we can add more and more. We can add sentiment analysis, so that again, during these situations, customers are more emotional, and based on that, we can just directly transfer it to the human agent. And apart from that, as we said, that we monitor and report the conversation log history, and based on that, we retrain our models by catching the misutterances or misutterance based on the accuracy, based on the recall, and these kinds of machine learning terms. So these are the certain things that we can do to enhance the existing chatbots, like by adding more channels, sentiment analysis, and doing the monitoring and reporting of the conversation log history based on the data analytics. Over to you, Praveen.
Okay, thanks, Shankar. So as we just saw that, the overview of Amazon Lex, very similar structure is there with Microsoft Bot platform, with some change in technology and the way of implementation, but the basics obviously remains the same. The key that Shankar talked about is the sentiment analytics. That's one module that we have, the model that we have already created, just to make sure that if that needs to be integrated with the chatbots, then that can be easily integrated to take care of the sentiments at this time. One of the other topics which we have been working with some of the companies is that how do we educate the end customers in these times that they can go back to using chatbots more than calling or by using other means of interaction with the business. And some of the customers are already doing it, having marketing materials and order receipts have a QR code where you can scan and download the chatbot as an app, or it takes you to the website where chatbot is there. Then obviously through other messaging means. Many of the customers have also been doing the storytelling using chatbot and getting customer feedback on that. Other means like having dedicated chatbot landing page when they go to our order screen, there's a flash, and then some interactions videos through which the awareness of using chatbots are being spread out for the end customers. Next screen, Shankar. Yeah, so that actually brings us towards the end of this webinar. And just to recap what all we covered, Shankar, you can move to the next screen, please. So we talked about how do we help customer services teams to leverage the bots, and that too quickly. How can we help end customers understand the benefits, and how do we make awareness? Some live demos, and also not only building the bots from the scratch, but also enhancing your existing conversational AI bots, which can be more capable in terms of either learning and retraining through utterances and other means, as well as adding modules like sentiment analytics, using IVR so that we can have speech-to-text and text-to-speech conversation also established between the telephony system like Twilio or any other Cisco-based telephony system, going back to the Amazon or AWS bot platform, and then integrating with the CRM system. So as I said, we intend to deliver a chatbot, one process identified based on certain prerequisites in 5 days. And in this times, we are doing first process at no cost for our customers. So at this time, I would leave the floor open for any Q&A. Thanks for your patience and listening to us. Obviously, you can write down your queries to us, to me directly on my email ID, which is praveen.kumar@jkt.com, or Shankar, which is shankarkamra@jkt.com. You can also reach out to our marketing team, as well as your project point of contacts in US. But I will leave the floor open for next 10 minutes for any question and answers at this point of time. A couple of questions already, so just let's read it out. In 5 days, will the chatbot be ready for end users, or will it just be development complete? See, the objective is that it should be deployed in production and ready to use for the end users, and that is why we try to break it to a process level and try to build it with enough intents and entities and slots and utterances, so that when we release it, at least we achieve 95% accuracy. So that's the objective. There's another question. What data details do we need for a particular use case? Will chat transcripts be will be of use to be considered for training the bot? Oh, absolutely. If we have chat transcripts, even if it is in a text format or any format whatsoever, we have our NLP engine, which can read through and convert them into a meaningful set of intense utterances, entities, and slots, and then we can train the bot appropriately. That's the basic minimum that we need, even if it is in a form of an Excel sheet or a scribble notes in an email or a Word document or a text pad, that will work. These are 2 questions that I had. Any other question? There's another one. Is there a typical pre-engagement discussion setup prep time that you have seen? Yes. So, and that's why, if you refer, there was a day 0. So that is where we try to make sure that our basic setup is there. So we assume that either customer will have the environment in AWS or Azure, or we can extend our own environment for development. Meanwhile, the acquisition of the actual production environment can be done. But it takes about a couple of days to formalize the engagement or discussion with the business process owner, because more often than not, this is more than an IT project and more of a business project. So yeah, a couple of days before day 1 is ideally needed. Just wait for 1 more minute for any further questions. Of course, towards the end of this session, team will be uploading the video and the presentation for your consumption offline, and definitely you can reach out to us at any point of time. Okay, since I don't see any further question, I hope this is all right to wind up the session. Just before we wind up, I would like to thank you for listening to us. Take care of yourself and your family, and we'll be in touch with you soon for next set of conversational AI or any other digital platform-based webinar that we schedule. Thank you so much for joining in. Thanks, Shankar.
Thanks, Ravin. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.